So week 3 of the Wednesday Night Wars just concluded, and I just got done watching NXT and AEW literally once again side by side, head to head, to see which one captures my attention more. Now last week once again I asked you guys in the poll which show you thought won week 2. I personally thought AEW won, and you guys agreed because 72% of you guys said that AEW was the better show on week 2. But now it's about week 3, and I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference in the polls this time. So let's go ahead and get started. In case you're new to these, the way I do this, I compare opener to opener, mid-card to mid-card, and main event to main event. The shows get 1 point for each of those. At the end, whoever has the most points wins. So for the opener, AEW decided to start things off with a tag team tournament match, the Best Friends versus SCU, while for NXT, they decided to kick things off with a singles match, Tommaso Ciampa's return against Angel Garza. Now, these two matches were very different in the sense that NXT's match, nobody really expected Angel Garza to win that match. I think everybody expected, hey, this is Tommaso Ciampa's return match, and just the way Angel Garza was treated last week, there's no way he was going to win. Like, he got taken out right away by Tommaso Ciampa. This is just to make a returning Tommaso Ciampa look good on his return, in his return match, and it was a short little match, a fun little match, but on the AEW side of things, they went with a really competitive match where either team could win the match, and on top of that, they surprised us all by having the Lucha Bros come out and attack Kazarian and Daniels prior to the match, taking out Daniels with a pile driver on the ramp, which people actually were wondering if that, if something went wrong there or not, but pretty much Lucha Bros seem to be heels now. That came as a shocker, and then they replaced Daniels by Scorpio Sky. They still ended up having a competitive match, a really good match actually, despite the botched or, not properly timed finish that made Scorpio Sky look good. And also I think they swerved a lot of people by having them still win the match despite the attack. And this also did its job of making Scorpio Sky look good. Dude came in on the fly last minute, not expecting it, with one shoe on, still won the match, still looked good during the match. NXT's opener, predictable but good. AEW's opener, unpredictable but better. So, gonna go with AEW for the opener. That's 1 point for AEW. And then we move on to the mid-card. Both of them had some good stuff in the mid-card. NXT decided to go with a mix of short matches and long matches, and I think it worked. I especially liked the short Matt Riddle versus Bronson Reed match that really showcased Matt Riddle's strength. The dude picked him up for a powerbomb. This is like the big, just looks-wise, this dude looked like the biggest person I've ever seen getting powerbomb. Although the powerbomb didn't look perfect, definitely not. He didn't get him up as, perfectly as you would somebody who's smaller, but that was a nice display of strength. And then he picks him up in a tombstone position as well for his finisher. People joke about, matches making people look strong, but that match literally made Matt Riddle look strong. On top of that, NXT went ahead and raised some more questions, some more challenges when it comes to the Women's Championship, just when you thought it was going to be something involving Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Shayna Baszler. Now with this episode, we also got Shirai going ahead and challenging for the Women's Championship, and Tegan Nox on top of that, challenging for the championship. So we've got 4 potential challengers, but the champion herself only came out to confront the person that hadn't actually challenged her until she came out, and then she challenged her, which was, Tegan Nox, but then the champion telling her she doesn't deserve a title shot. So it's a really unpredictable situation here that they've got that's got me interested and curious as to what's going to happen and who's eventually going to get the championship match. Is it going to be all of them? Is it going to be one of them? A couple of them? I don't know, but they definitely got my attention with that. And then the highlight for me in the mid-card, or the middle portion of the show, was the Dominic versus Keith Lee match, the rubber match, or what was supposed to be the rubber match between the two. Really enjoyed that match. I mean, I knew going into it that I was going to like it. I had only seen clips of the two facing off before, so this was my first time watching a full-length match, and I really enjoyed it. These were two big men doing some pretty cool stuff. I mean, Dominic went ahead, lifted Keith Lee up for the electric chair. He goes ahead and reverses it into reverse Rana. So some big men doing some things that you see high flyers, smaller guys doing. And I was a bit disappointed with the match being ruined by Roderick Strong, but they then go ahead and announce, because of that, it's going to be a triple threat now. Keith Lee versus Dominic versus Roderick Strong for that championship because they had shown Undisputed Era attacking Velveteen Dream, so he's not getting that championship match anymore. From what I hear, he might be actually injured, so hopefully, he can return soon. But as far as that triple threat match goes, excited to see that now. But going back to the mid-card of NXT, I thought it was all pretty damn good. The weakest part of it for me was the Killian Dane match. I think they chose a horrible time to have that match because they had it when the Chris Jericho versus Darby Allin match, the main event on AEW's side, was taking place or was starting. So, of course, that match had my attention way more than the Killian Dane match. And plus, Killian Dane reminds me of Eric Rowan, and I'm not the biggest Eric Rowan fan. So anyways, on to AEW. So when it comes to AEW, I don't think it's a surprise they had the longer matches. They usually do. Aside from that one squash match that they had with Santana and Ortiz taking on a bunch of jobbers. So obviously that's going to be quick. It was a squash match. Then they also had the second of the tag team tournament matches of the episode, and that was Jurassic Express versus the Lucha Bros. And here, unfortunately, Luchasaurus, because I was really looking forward to this match, Luchasaurus got replaced with Marco Stunt. Now, this is because Luchasaurus got injured, so that's unfortunate, and I was really looking forward to this match. This was the tag team match. Out of the two tag team matches, this was the one that I was looking forward to the most, because of Luchasaurus and, his impressive moves, and him with Jungle Boy going up against the Lucha Bros. The thing is, with Marco Stunt, he's too small, so it just looks like they're wrestling a kid, and when the kid is beating them up, that just looks bad. And the combination of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus works, but then when it's Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt, it's like Jungle Boy just brought in his little brother. So once I saw that it was this combination, I wasn't as excited, but the match wasn't bad. I actually thought it was good, and at the end, they beat the crap out of Marco Stunt, which they should. I thought the right team won, the Lucha Bros won, and by the way, really like their entrance. I think they have one of the better entrances now on the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they take it all the way to the finals along with SCU, because now they've got some unfinished business. I thought, they already had some unfinished business because of the brawl they had like 2 weeks ago on the first show, and now they attack SCU, they turn heel, SCU moves on, but is SCU going to be able to move on and beat the Dark Order though? That I'm not sure about. I feel like that's the most unpredictable match of the whole tournament. So it's going to be interesting to see if they have these two teams face off in the end of the finals, or does SCU get taken over or beaten by Dark Order? Maybe Lucha Bros also lose prior to making it to the finals, who knows? But anyways, there was one match on AEW's mid-card that topped all the other ones, that outshined all the other ones because it was so damn good, and that was Jon Moxley teaming up with Pac versus Kenny Omega and Paige. Not only was this the best tag match of the show, but it was the best match period on the show, and I'd say it was the best match on either show tonight. It was an amazing match, really good, and as expected, Jon Moxley and Pac had some issues in the match. They couldn't get along, and that caused them to lose the match in the end. And it was done in a pretty cool way too, with, both these dudes are pretty angry dudes, but, Pac was the more sensible one, taking the barbed wire away from Jon Moxley because he doesn't want them to get DQ'd, and then Jon Moxley's like, you know what, gives him the middle finger, hits him with dirty deeds, and just leaves, and that leaves them to get attacked by both Paige and Kenny Omega, which, speaking of, Kenny Omega I thought was the MVP of this match. He really went hard in this. And then they also had a really good video package showing Cody Rhodes preparing for his match against Chris Jericho at Full Gear, with testimonials, or not testimonials, I guess, confessionals or whatever, from Tony, JR, DDP, Brandy, and also MJF as well. I thought it was really well done. The weakest part for me was the women's title match. The Riho versus Britt Baker match. It wasn't bad. It was okay. It actually had a good finish, but the match itself was alright. And also, I really don't like the look of the women's title in AEW. I think it's probably the ugliest looking title right now in all of wrestling. I really don't like it. The AEW title, though, looks really good, but the AEW women's title, I don't know, the design that they chose, it just doesn't look right. The middle portion looks way too tall, but not wide enough. But anyways, as far as to who won the middle portion of the shows tonight, both of them had some good stuff, but at the end, there's one match to me that really stood out above all the others. That was the best match out of both shows, in my opinion. That was the Pac and Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega and Paige match. So for that reason, that's another point for All Elite Wrestling, and then moving on to the main events. So, on AEW side, you got Chris Jericho versus Darby Allin in a street fight. And then on NXT side, you got Pete Dunne versus Damian Priest. Now, I'll tell you right off the bat, initially I was like, alright, I'm more interested in the street fight match. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like this more. But actually, I ended up being surprised big time. The street fight started off kind of slow, and then it picked up a bit. You know, it really picked up once Chris Jericho went ahead and pretty much handcuffed Darby Allin once he taped his arms behind his back. And then you see him hit a moonsault despite that, freaking dive to the outside on Jericho. Then it looked like he was going to go for that coffin drop, but, you know, Jake Hager gets involved and Jericho goes ahead and capitalizes on that, gets a submission win with the Walls of Jericho. So I was a bit disappointed there, you know, the slow start and then Jake Hager getting involved. I mean, the guy's already smaller than Jericho, a lot smaller than Jericho, and then on top of that, he's got his hands tied behind his back, yet the champion still needed some help to win the match. I feel like Jericho should have won that match on his own. And then on the NXT side of things, you know, once the AEW match ended, the NXT match kept going, Damian Priest versus Pete Dunne, and then I was really invested in the match, and I'm really liking these Pete Dunne matches. They end up being these hard-hitting matches, and I was really impressed with Damian Priest, which I didn't expect. And in the end, of course, he wins the match, but I was really entertained with that. That, to me, surprised me, and that I thought was better than the street fight, which I totally didn't expect. And Damian Priest, by the way, I said he reminds me of Baron Corbin. Somebody in the comments section was like, he reminds him of Baron Corbin, a mix of Baron Corbin and Shinsuke Nakamura. And then I saw his entrance today, and I'm like, yo, this guy's like totally spot on. It is Baron Corbin combined with Shinsuke Nakamura. But anyways, yeah, I ended up enjoying the NXT main event more than AEW's main event for the title. And I just feel like Jericho should have taken that win without any involvement, without any interference. I mean, he's already got the guy tied up, or with his hands tied up behind his back. He's already Chris Jericho versus Darby Allin, you know, a newer guy on the scene. And on top of that, if you keep going ahead and having these finishes where people go ahead and interfere, it's always the inner circle interfering in the main event, people are going to get tired of that. It's going to start getting repetitive. So for me, without a doubt, when it comes to the main event, that's a point for NXT. NXT takes the main event. But overall, that's 2 points for AEW and 1 point for NXT, which means AEW wins, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. So I've got a poll once again in the top right corner of the video. Go ahead and vote. Who won this week? Was it AEW or NXT? Let's see what the majority thinks. And next week is looking good, man. We've already got 2 big matches for each show. NXT, you've got the triple threat match for the North American Championship, and on AEW side, you got Pac versus Jon Moxley. Both of them undefeated in one-on-one competition, so somebody's going to lose, somebody's going to become defeated instead of undefeated, unless they go with some screwy finish, which I hope they don't. And I don't think they will. So, that's it for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, click the like button down below, and I'm out. See ya.